Say we gon' set your day right, yeah. We gon' turn it up nice. Get ready for the time of your life. We bring the vibes and we bringing it right. We're the brunch, doing it right, doing it right. Cause we on here and we ready to bring the fire. Turn the radio up. Cause we on here with the brunch, take it higher. Turn the radio up. Cause we on here and we ready.
It's your main man, Action Jackson, and I'm so excited to be back in the studio talking to you all believers. Listen, we took a 2-week break, but I was so thirsty to get here that I got here 1 hour early. I was so excited to be here. But you know, we get it done from 12 to 1 right here on Inspiration 1390. Believers, I had my own personal, in-person, what in the caucasity happened to me.
Oh, not you.
I couldn't believe it.
Tell a story, tell it true.
And I'm only
tell the truth Tuesday, but we're gonna tell it on Monday.
I'm only saying this because now that I'm in a suburb temporarily, I'm going to exercise my right to vote. I moved into my new house, is moving in, and I have a white neighbor who parks behind my house. And he came to introduce himself and to ask me about parking. And I'm going to make it short, but he goes on in combo to, I said, well, we're going to probably build a garage soon and we won't have extra space for parking. And I said, well, give me your contact info and I'll reach back out. Let me talk with my wife about it, to see what she wants. I can't make a decision on my own. And he gave me his card and it says certified teacher. So I said, oh, my wife's in education. And he said, well, this is not my only job. This is my second job. I'm a contractor. I said, oh, I know how that is. I work multiple jobs as well. I said, I'm a radio personality and I own a medical supply company. And he proceeded to say, woo, thank God you're not a drug dealer.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Look, Charles even looked up. And the first time
oh, my God.
It was boiling up. I was about to go there, but I said,
look, sometimes you got to suppress the west side.
I suppressed it a little and I said, no, I'm no drug dealer. I'm a highly successful entrepreneur. And he said, whew, I got to let my housemates know you're not a drug dealer. Now, by the second time, I was about to knock his 2 front teeth in. But then the Holy Ghost said, be still.
Wow.
And know that I said,
but your mouth is reckless, though. Like, really, somebody needs to check you. And I'm not saying check you in a bad way, but I think how you did it was very Christian, very in keeping with what would Jesus do. But everybody got to learn about what would Jesus do. Like, you have to be very accountable for the things that you say.
Yes.
When you say them and how you say them.
I'm going to address it.
He was reckless.
I'm going to address it, but we got another situation where I'm a chess player, right? So I'm like, okay, if I cuss him out, knock him out, whatever, or, just go crazy, then I may have an issue and I got to get something else resolved. But I am going to let him because he mentioned before, he was like, well, I'm a really honest, transparent person. So I'm going to go back to him and let him know I'm as honest and transparent as you are. And I was offended by the way you profiled me. I felt very...
Consider this.
You should tell him his breath stinks.
No,
I wanted to say, I'm glad I ain't looking. You look like the man got the girls in the basement.
Because what's coming out of his breath smells like...
Well, I don't think your mic is turned up or something.
Charles is on mic number 3.
Okay. But even if you just have a response that makes someone reflect on their own ignorance, I find now, I didn't used to have much credence in this, but I find now that when you make someone reflect on their own ignorance, it's better, and the outcome becomes more better, if I can put it that way. Better. And I would just say to them, I want you to close your eyes and reflect on what you just said. And then, if I was a white man, would you have said that?
Well, you know what? I'm just inviting all the drug dealers I know to the house, and we just go party all the No, it was wild. So I did want to share that, and so tomorrow I'm going to exercise my vote in my suburb.
Oh, I thought you were going to say he was going to be on the show.
No.
Salivate next
No. Look,
next time you see him, give him a stick of gum and say, your breath stunk last time we spoke. And he'd be like, what? My breath? Yeah, what was coming out of your breath smelled like.
I like it. I like it.
Okay.
Look, Tammy, like,
We have a caller. We have a caller. And caller, thank you so
It's
much.
my neighbor.
Say what?
Yeah, tell him to address that. Don't bite your tongue. Be Christian. This is Reverend Harris.
Hey,
Okay,
Reverend
hey,
Harris.
Reverend Harris.
And we need to start educating these people. You cannot continue to profile people just because you feel like you can profile them. We don't profile you. All we want is equal access. That's all we want.
And
That's all
respect.
we want.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
respect.
Reverend Harris, I'm gonna address it. I'm definitely gonna address it. But I'm glad I used, a little credence, and I let the Lord guide me that day. Because my first thought was knock him out, but then I said no. Then he gonna think I'm a thug next,
I'm sure Reverend Harris would agree that 3-second interval where it's pivotal on the next move you make or the next word you speak is critical.
Yes.
Yes.
Reverend Harris, thank you for
Harris.
always listening and calling in. We appreciate you.
The right way. But these people need to know. Stop profiling people. We are successful in what we do. There are a lot of us. Everybody ain't cranked up. There's some people in all races that's cranked up and crazy.
Yeah.
So that ain't us.
That's true.
Yeah, that's right. Well,
That's
thank you
true.
for
Thanks,
calling.
Reverend Harris. One of my Facebook friends said that maybe he asked me that because him and his housemates wanted drugs and they was trying to. Maybe they the crackhead.
You never know what the
Maybe he was
motivation
saying, you
is.
never know, man.
That's a
But you
test
know
question.
what? I am fired up. I am pumped up. We are back in effect. It's the Brunch Bunch right here on Inspiration 1390. Y'all get into it. This Easter was so important to me. And I don't know why. The Spirit just told me this is the Easter that is going to be different from all the other Easters that you have experienced. And so I was reflecting, like from Friday, on Good Friday, not just because we had an off day, but I was reflecting. This is the day that Christ was crucified. And then he rose on Sunday. And so I just got into a reset, reflect mode, and I started thinking about the words that he said as he was on the cross. He said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. He prayed for the people who actually put him on the cross and the people who were cheering the entire activity of killing the King of the Jews, which was preposterous, right? And so I started reflecting on modern day killings and people who were calling out as they were dying. And it's made me say, let's revisit this whole George Floyd's trial, which has started. It is underway, and 929. Now that's not a verse. That's not
a lottery number.
No,
Oh.
That's how many minutes that George Floyd was getting the breath, the life choked out of him. So like I said, the trial has started, and so they had to during the trial make a correction about how many minutes this officer's knee was actually in his neck. So there were 4 minutes and 45 seconds where Floyd called out for help, right? 53 seconds that he failed. He was flailing because he was having seizures, right? And then there were 3 minutes and 51 seconds where Floyd was actually unresponsive. But you know who else was unresponsive? The officer who had his knee in his neck. He didn't move, his stoic face, we all watched it. But it was interesting, each day there was a resonating message from the trial that was a takeaway. And I'm going to go over each one of those. So the first day, Donald Williams, and we had him on the show. Remember, he was the MMA, the mixed martial arts specialist, who actually was calling the officer, you are a coward, you are a bum, you think you're a tough guy. And he said, I called the police on the police. He had the courage enough to actually repeat that as a witness in the trial. Darnella Frazier was also the one who made the video famous, and she says that she every night since that she is apologizing to George Floyd for not doing more. But I beg to differ. Had it not been for your courage to actually stand in front of the police and take that video, none of us would know the truth. A 9-year-old girl was with her, and it is haunting her. And then Courtney Ross, who's his girlfriend, testified that both of them, both she and George, struggled with their addiction and how they were trying to overcome it from opioids, right? But that's not that's not something that is, I mean, that's a nationwide, worldwide situation, right? So as they're trying, his life is gone because of it. And then Chauvin said that Floyd was crazy. If you look at the tapes, he told his commanding officer, I need you to come here, in a very nonchalant voice, I need you to come here because it was a guy, it was hard to restrain, so he was acting crazy, and he was calling out, but he's restrained now. I mean, real nonchalant, right? And then he was clearing his throat, but he wasn't like, you know, if you've just killed someone, you're excited because your anxiety is flowing. He was very void of anxiety. And then Chauvin was saying, this is what I'm saying, these because this is what he was saying. No, not really. You couldn't really hear what the other officer was saying. Not really, but we just had to hold him down. But now, because he was acting crazy, but he wouldn't go in behind the squad car. When actually, George Floyd said, officer, please, Mr. Officer, can I just talk to you? Do not kill me. Don't shoot me. So there are other videos that have surfaced from different angles that you can see, and they're starting to fill in the gaps in the story. And then the supervising lieutenant, who was Chauvin's former supervisor, testified that when Mr. Floyd was no longer when he was no longer putting up any resistance, that at that point, that's when the officers could have lifted the knee and stopped any more restraining efforts. The Minneapolis Police Department said that he was one of the most senior officers, testified that the actions used in the George Floyd restraining efforts were uncalled for. Lieutenant Zimmerman. So this is a real situation that we have to keep our finger on the pulse, because a lot of times when things die down, they're out of the news and nobody's watching. We got to keep watching. Now, I want to close with Chris Martin, who was the 19-year-old cashier at the Cup Foods, Cup, C-U-P, not Cub Foods, but Cup Foods, who actually regrets that he took what they are now calling the $20 counterfeit bill. He said, if I only just didn't take the bill, none of this would have happened. So he's feeling guilty as well. But he was very poignant as a witness on stage, said that all of that happened didn't fit the crime. $20, literally. So when I think about George Floyd and I think about Jesus, and I think about how both of their deaths changed the trajectory of the world, we can't forget it. We have to keep it in our frontal lobes.
Well, you know what? I'm so excited that the supervising lieutenant Zimmerman had something. He went against the grain, you know, because so many times we see this code of silence in the police where they protect each other. And to know that his last name is Zimmerman, because the only other Zimmerman I know is George, the wannabe police officer who killed Trayvon Martin. So that's it. But like Stanley Lane is saying, I was getting ready to say, never forget. We got to keep watching, but we cannot forget, because these things Now, I just had an experience which I didn't know until I got back that I probably shouldn't have did it. When I was in Jamaica, we got pulled over by police, and I went live. And, so, you know, I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen. You know, I'm nervous, I'm scared, and I wanted the world to be able to see it. And somebody said, it's not like America. You may have got in trouble for going live. I said, I'm going to put that phone down. So thank God for the people who were out there to catch it and get it on tape. Because the more we see these things live and in color, the more we want to affect change.
Yeah, absolutely. He represents all of the martyrs that went before him. He also represents all of the living black men who are vulnerable to that kind of treatment. We've got to stop it, but we've got to start locking these people up. Now, tomorrow we're going to talk about the 14th Amendment. It's going to shed some light on why people can do heinous things to black people and not be held accountable for it. That's the one you don't want to miss. Now, you also don't want to miss our in-studio guest today, who's going to talk about how to get this money, here today with your boy, Charlie Chase. What's up, Charles?
What's going on, everybody? How was everybody's weekend?
Mine was great. I went to Sagatuck, Michigan. and rented a cottage by the lake.
Nice.
And got to spend time with my new family, Valencia's family.
Nice. Now, these 2 weeks that we have been off have been a time for reflection, reset, and just really realizing how blessed we truly are.
Yeah.
And how more blessed we can become.
I missed it though. I'm glad to be back, and I'm glad to have the money man himself, Mr. Charlie Chase, in
Today,
the
I'm
building.
just here to give some tidbits to share with the listeners. A lot of people right now they got their stimulus checks, and there's still some people living off of unemployment, paycheck to paycheck. People are trying to still figure it out during this pandemic, trying to get back robust. Some people have money and don't know what to do with it. They're either scared to spend it, or some people are spending frivolously and got overexcited because they got some extra money in their hands.
Can I just say that when you get money, it ain't never extra. So don't get too outside yourself.
The more money you make, the more bills you get.
Well, I don't know if Jeff Bezos and Gates would agree with that, but you get the point. Some people got some extra money and they went straight to the Gucci store.
Yeah.
Okay? When you don't need to
Rent
do that.
still do.
And that segues
Bank account
into
is negative.
My tips for today. I would like people who are trying to figure it out to just take a moment to sip.
Sip?
Yes, sip.
Sip what? What we
Sometimes,
Sipping
like,
on
for
this
example, when
scissor.
you want to climb somewhere, you can take steps, or you could try to climb up a big ladder, and it's more difficult to, when the ladder rungs are way, you got to take baby steps. So I want people to just sip. Like when you drinking, don't gulp it down. Just take a sip.
Okay.
Save, invest, and plan.
I love it. Sip, save, invest,
And plan.
and plan.
Take a sip. Sip with me real quick.
Okay.
All right.
Stop wasteful spending. Stop impulse buying.
I got that bad.
I mean, so a lot of people who are depressed because of this pandemic, depression brings on impulse buying.
True.
It's a form of an outlet to try to, and a lot of people sometimes think about this. Some people buy clothes and things and items that they don't even need because they're trying to make themselves feel good. Think about this. Do you know the last thing I had on last week? What sneakers, what shirt, what? Nobody's paying attention to that. But you subconsciously think that by you buying things, people are paying attention. Maybe for a moment I might say, oh, that's a nice jacket, and forget about it. Start focusing on the things in your life that matter, like investing for the future,
Yeah.
for emergency
So that's your
funds.
eye for sip.
Yes, investing. Now, I'm going to give you an analogy. Remember when, like last night, it was the versus battle, right?
Yes.
And Steve Harvey, he dominated it with his personality. Talked about when he was driving, there was cassettes. I was like, no, Steve, when you was driving around, there was 8 tracks.
Right.
Get it right.
But look how technology and time has moved on. Cars used to have 8-track decks, cassettes, CDs, FM radio, Sirius XM radio, and then it transitioned to Bluetooth.
Yeah.
It's the new generation.
So you
It's the same with
downloading
banking.
and streaming.
Banks are the old-fashioned method of investing or saving and getting in return. Cryptocurrency is the future. I'll go on to that on the next time I'm on the show. But a lot of people should start doing some research on cryptocurrency. Understand what it means. Ethereum just made me a 20% return over just the weekend.
Oh wow. Spell that word. Spell and tell the
symbol is
and tell the symbol.
ETH. Yes.
ETH.
Bitcoin cash is like something people should get in 16% return. If you have $500 just sitting in the bank for a rainy day, don't let it sit in the bank and grow 0.00.8.
Not even 8, 2.
2. Put it in. Go get Robinhood or Coinbase. Download the app. But before you do that, do some research and understand what cryptocurrency is and how it can make you some money and turn just even $500 into $600.
Now, I'm like, I've used our show. I love The View. So as you were talking, I saw The View in me. Let me put a legal disclaimer in there, though. Investing can be highly volatile and is not guaranteed returns on the investment. So no risk, no reward. So when we're talking about investing and telling people to do it, I want to make sure we're also telling them that is riskier.
Remember when we were kids, you go to the bank and it had that little sticker on the window, SDI, the bank is not secured either.
But
Up until
over
200
a million,
exactly.
250.
No places. Banks get robbed. Nothing is safe. Nothing is guaranteed. The stock market is like a roller coaster. Cryptocurrency does go up and down, like Marcel said.
But that's where you do your research.
Yes,
and
I
scared money
people.
don't make money. I don't care where.
Not at all.
And then the last part of the SIP is planning. Start with, planning your bills. Start with your bills. What could you eliminate? For example, yes, some people have cable, but is it necessary? Can you get a Fire Stick?
9,000 channels.
Can you get a Fire Stick? I mean, that's just an example.
I exhale because I fight with that. I think I need cable, and I don't even watch it.
Exactly.
I keep my TV on Channel 7 all day, but when I want to watch something, I want the cable. But that's a bill that I could be saving.
Or even if you don't eliminate it, scale it down a little bit.
Planning also includes vacation. A lot of people don't plan vacations, or they plan too many vacations, or they plan sporadically. Oh, I'm going to go out of town sporadically. Do you really need to go out of town sporadically? Or could you save that money for an emergency? Because they always say you should have 3 or 4 months of reserves. I say 2, but start off with the double bubble. The double bubble is this. Take what your bills are and try to match them the first 6 months of the year, and have in your account 1 month in reserves. Just put aside whatever your bills. If your bills are $3,000 a month, try to save up in 6 months $3,000 so you have 1 month's of bills in reserve. So when you go into the next 6 months, you can plan to do the same thing, double up again. And by the end of the year, you'll have 2 months in reserve for an emergency.
Right.
Don't touch that money. Put it in a safe, either a bank account,
Right.
which is old-fashioned, or a cryptocurrency, and let it grow.
Make sure you do not have a cash card that you can access it to, because you'll be tempted to spend it.
Now, if I can just get this tip about the savings, I use an app called Stash, STASH. It will automatically debit your checking or savings account as often as you want. I do, I think, $10 a week, and then it invests in. I can go in and invest it, or I can just leave it in there to save. But then I invest in like mutual funds, the safer investments.
Right.
I do through Stash, like portfolios, Coca-Cola, McDonald's, and every week is automatically investing my $10. So it's a good way to save.
Right.
And a lot of people think saving has to be really robust. $10 gets robust.
Yeah, when
do
you're
it
not thinking about it.
But a lot of people think that it's discipline. It is partly discipline, but it has to be discipline in a new lifestyle, a new mentality. Stop buying frivolously. Start buying things that you need, not what you always want, based on impulse. A lot of times, of course, you guys know I live in 2 countries. In other unfortunate countries, people buy what they need. Over here, we have an abundance.
We buy what we want.
And we buy what we want all
And
the
still
time.
don't
and
have
then,
enough.
And then when we look in our closet, and I was guilty of this when I was younger, we have an abundance of things that we don't even use or wear anymore.
Yeah.
So those were my tidbits for the day.
I like that.
Sip.
Sip.
Save,
invest, and plan.
And the listeners on Facebook are saying they love that. They want to know how they can get in contact with you so you can help them sip.
Well, you know what? During the pandemic, I was giving out a lot of advice on the EIDL. Matter of fact, I just got a text from somebody that says, hey, what's going on with the PPP? You were giving us advice. The PPP has been extended. I'll give you some quick tips. If you're self-employed, you can qualify. Go to your accountant and ask them to make your taxes a Schedule C. Your accountant would know what a Schedule C line 31 is, and you can apply as a sole proprietor or a single LLC and receive up to $20,833 from the government, which will be not automatically forgivable, but at least 90% forgivable if you follow the appropriate steps. This program is still available. They have billions and billions of dollars still available
To May 31st.
to May 31st. So I would go into, I'm going to be a little biased. I would say BMO.
And I was gonna say, and I'm glad you said that. I went into the bank and they said, "We love Charles." The vice president walked up to
Let
me.
me thank you. Yes, because
The
I'm a sole
branch
proprietor.
manager came
And I
up.
went in there and I tested it out. And I said, let me try to see if I can get a PPP loan. Because I've been living out of the country for 15 years. And I came back after the pandemic and I became robust. And I said, let me see if I can qualify. And I did. So I've been sending them a bunch of people for credit lines. Letty is great.
Letty said, I was in the bank and I just kind of waved at her. They were in a big meeting. She stopped the meeting, jumped out the door, and then was branch managers were coming. They was like, "You met Charles today?" And she said, "We love Charles. Thank the Brunch Bunch for introducing us to Charles."
Let me tell you something. Marcel and Tammy, y'all have personally helped me get back robust. And and that's why I owe your listeners, and I'm glad you guys invite me here. Anybody want to ask me to help how to sip, it's free advice. God has blessed me to make me robust again, so I want to pass on all this knowledge.
The Brunch Bunch.
I want to pass on all this knowledge that I've consumed, because I read a lot. I don't watch a lot of television, even though I watched the Versus last night.
Well, real quick, I want you to discuss the infrastructure money that's coming out. That's on the table, hasn't been passed yet. But can you give the listeners a little teaser?
I'm doing a little research on that right now, and I'll get more into it. So in 2 weeks, I'll have more information. But what's about to happen is a lot of money from the feds are going to be passed down through the states, through different departments where people can apply for grants. If you have a non-for-profit, there'll be a lot of RFPs put out there, a lot of opportunities for people to fund their businesses through grants and other services that the government will have. The government's about to get billions of billions. State governments are about to get billions of billions. And that's why the Republicans are fighting them. They know this next infrastructure package is going to be like giving out money to the unions and so forth and so on.
All right. Well, you heard it here on the Brunch Bunch. You say you got to call him.
No, I want Charles to give his info. Nobody knows how to reach him. But
the number. Hurry.
Okay, you can hit me at charles@nicegroup.com.
NYCEgroup.com.
Yes.
You guys, it's been a blast. Our first day back is always, as usual, we love to be with you. Look, tomorrow, tune in. Tell a friend. I love you, Action Jackson.
I love you, Tammy Fair. We love you, Charles and Believer.